Hello everybody, welcome back to this channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Hansi Flick because we do have more confirmation on Hansi Flick meeting with FC Barcelona, and in the end, it does seem like Barcelona will be having their new coach, and that new coach is going to be Hansi Flick. It does say here, according to Rack 1, that a meeting did in fact take place between Hansi Flick and the Barcelona delegation. There was very good harmony among all parties involved, and Flick is the #1 candidate to replace Xavi Hernandez right now if an exit does happen. Fabrizio Romano also stated Hansi Flick is pushing hard for the Barcelona move. We have a source in Germany from Florian Plettenberg who has stated there is a verbal agreement in place between Hansi Flick and Barcelona. Flick feels ready to coach Barcelona, right? And so this is huge news. And I did pull up his CV just to see his coaching history. You can see that his main work came through him becoming the assistant manager for Joachim Low in the German national team. He was there for about 7 years. Then he became the sporting director of the German national team between 2014 and 2017. Later on, he became the managing director of sport for Hoffenheim for only about a season, and then he moved on and upgraded hugely to become the assistant manager of the Bayern Munich team, which honestly did not last that long. It was only for about 6 months, and then he moved straight towards becoming the manager of Bayern Munich after Niko Kovac was fired, and then the rest was history with Bayern Munich. We all know how everything went down from there. And then of course he later left Bayern Munich on June 30th, 2021 and decided to coach the German national team, and unfortunately, it did not end up well for Hansi Flick because they have experienced so many losses. And I'm not going to lie, when I was looking at his CV, it told me two things. Point number one, it took him a long time to get to this moment, to be considered as one of the best coaches in the world and to be wanted by the teams like Chelsea, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan, etc., right? The top teams, Man City, Liverpool. He came a long way. He was a sporting director, an assistant manager, and now he's finally in this moment. And point number two, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he has been called to be a sporting director multiple times by many teams, which goes to show that maybe Hansi Flick does have an eye for scouting. Maybe the reason why so many clubs and the national team saw Hansi Flick as a sporting director is because they saw him as somebody who can scout talent, and that is good news. Maybe if you keep Hansi Flick long enough at a certain club, he'll be able to find certain talents and grow those players. And so look, I understand why many would say I do not want Hansi Flick at Barcelona because look at what he did with the German national team, and I understand that. He was sacked on September 10th, 2023. He has been without a club or country job for about 9 months, and Hansi Flick wants to get back into the scenes. If you look at the history and what he did recently with the German national team, one of the worst defeats that he has suffered was against Japan in that friendly, which was his last game, and they lost 4-1. And before that loss against Japan, they went winless for 4 matches in a row against Belgium, Ukraine, Poland, and Colombia. And even before that 4-game loss streak, they left the World Cup tournament very early and in the group stages. So he was not doing a good job at all. And overall, in the 25 matches that he has managed, they have only managed to win 12 games. Now you may call this as a fluke for Hansi Flick, or maybe it's mainly because he prefers to be a club manager than a national team manager. Maybe his skill sets just come down to being a great club manager and nothing else. Now you may question also, what is the difference between a club manager and a national team manager? Like usually, aren't you supposed to be a great club manager and translate that success as a national team manager? No, because these are two very different jobs. Point number one, the frequency and the duration of the interactions that you get with the players is very different. As a club coach, you work with them on a daily basis and you can implement these tactical plans, talk to them every day, make them understand it, build team cohesion, and overall, you'll have a deeper understanding as a coach on your players' strengths and weaknesses. When you are a national team coach though, you barely have time. Your time is so limited with the players, you don't even really get to know them and what are their strengths and weaknesses. You can't really implement your tactical systems and create a strong team chemistry with your players because again, you only play, I would say, on an average of 5 to 6 games a year. And Hansi Flick is probably somebody that needs to be with the players on a daily basis to make them understand how he does want to play. With Germany, he failed. And usually when you are a club manager, you need to be very good at high pressure environments and being tested day in, day out. Maybe Hansi Flick does perform under situations like that. With the national team, you don't get that. The environment is very different. You play 2 games and then you rest for about 4 to 5 months. Maybe Hansi Flick likes the momentum. Maybe he does like the stress. Maybe he does like the extra pressure. It makes him perform. And so in the end, I'm going to conclude that he is a great club manager and not a good national team manager. You do have those coaches that are good in both, but rarely do you see one. And I'm going to be having faith that he'll be doing a better job at Barcelona than he did at the German national team. But here's going to be my biggest question. Can Barcelona give what he wants? Because this summer is going to be so crucial. Barcelona must make changes changes and they must make signings in order for them to get better. And that is one of my biggest fears. Once we do appoint Hansi Flick, Barcelona may not achieve what Hansi Flick does want. And I hope that in that meeting that they had, Deco and Bojan were very transparent to make Hansi Flick understand we cannot give you exactly what you do need. And that's of course if that's real. Like if Barcelona truly are very limited and they truly are not going to be having the opportunity to build a squad that Hansi Flick is going to be demanding. Who knows? The financial situation could change in about 2 weeks. We're still waiting for the hearing of La Liga and what they're going to be saying on how much Barcelona could spend, what's going to be their wage bill, etc. Because let me tell you, if Barcelona fail to get what Hansi Flick does want, and Hansi is like, oh my god, like you told me that we could get this player and that player and that we can spend this much, but then we actually got this player and that player, I'm afraid that Hansi Flick might fail in some certain things in the next season, and then we have a whole other situation of Xavi Hernandez. The Xavi Hernandez case just gets repeated, and all we're going to be hearing is we're missing this player and this player, and that's why I can't really complete my project from Hansi Flick. Like who knows, by the time we get into the next season and we're like 6 months into it, Hansi Flick can say, yes, I have a great squad, but I wanted a specific center back and I don't have a ball playing center back at the back. He can say something like that. I don't know. Something could be missing, and I don't want to hear that. But I'm just going to be assuming that whatever Hansi Flick does want, it's already in FC Barcelona, because that would explain the reason why he's pushing for the job. It's because he sees a lot of the players that he already wants. Maybe not fully, maybe we're missing about 3 to 4% and we're missing maybe 1 to 2 players based off the demands of Hansi Flick. And so I hope that is the case. I hope that he is satisfied with Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Xavi, Vitor Roque, Balde, Hector Ford, etc. Now, I do want to get on to the next conversation and speak about who Hansi Flick could be asking for. And this is going to be much more of a, I would say, optimistic fantasy type of signing, but I can actually see this mainly because there is correlations to bringing in a certain German player because we have a German coach. It's just usually how it happens. Koeman was asking for so many Netherlands players. Xavi Hernandez was really making Barcelona a Spanish-based type of team. The same thing is going to go on with Hansi Flick. He's going to be asking for certain German players. And so I would say this would be much more of a speculation on what could happen. But just to set the stage here, I want to say this. To all Barcelona fans, I want you guys to be mentally prepared for what's about to happen in the summer. There is going to be some players that might leave in this summer that you may not want to see leave. And there's going to be some players that will leave in the summer they're going to be glad to see leave. Hansi Flick is a coach that requires a lot of physicality from you. He wants extremely high press, high line football, high intensity, high aggressiveness in his games. And he cannot do that if he does not have the correct players with the correct athletic abilities. And I believe that one of the players Hansi Flick could be asking for, whether it's in this summer or in the next one, it is going to be Musiala from Bayern Munich. Do I believe that Barcelona are ready to acquire such a signing? As of now, I would just say I don't know. But for sure, Barcelona will need to shift some players out. There's already been reports surfacing through the media that La Liga is going to be increasing Barcelona's wage bill to 530 million euros. Just to put that into context, in the previous summer, Barcelona's total annual wage amounted to around 420 million euros. That figure was already over what La Liga was imposing for Barcelona's salary limit. So that is how low La Liga had us in the previous summer. But this summer, La Liga is saying not only are we going to meet the 420 million euros of your wage bill that you had, but we're going to increase it to 530 million euros. That is a huge increase. Also keep in mind, Barcelona have to solidify the Nike deal that is going to inject them 100 million euros up front. You combine that with a big player exit, I can definitely see Hansi Flick saying if there is a chance that Musiala can come to Barcelona, just go for it. If not, that's fine. Plan B will be to spread out those funds into 2 or 3 different players. But going back to the big player exit, one of the players that I believe could greatly help manage such a signing would either come down to Frankie or Pedri. Many might ask, Kevin, why would you say Pedri? Pedri is a central attacking midfielder. Musiala is also a central attacking midfielder. You're switching a central attacking midfielder with another central attacking midfielder. Hansi Flick wants a direct team, a team that brings a lot of physicality, and is definitely going to be a team that would not require the pausa technique, something that Pedri is a master at and something that Xavi Hernandez was always demanding from Pedri to do. Knowing that the pausa technique is not going to be such a demand, the demand for Pedri is also going to decrease, and that is only because Hansi Flick will be taking charge. If Pedri does come out and it's not Frankie de Jong, I can see a 4-2-3-1 system, which is a formation that Hansi Flick likes to implement, and see a double pivot of Frankie and Xavi with Musiala on the left wing, and then our number 10s, which is the central attacking midfield position, would be rotated between Gundogan and Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez, by the way, would greatly benefit from the hiring of Hansi Flick. Fermin Lopez is just that guy that will give you the high intensity, high pressing, the player that will test the goalkeeper multiple times. Hansi Flick would literally be seeing a reincarnation of Müller all over again, but maybe with more athletic abilities. But let's just say that does not happen. Let's say it's not Pedri, Hansi Flick loves Pedri, and Pedri just stay. Another player that I could see leaving is again Frankie de Jong. If it's Frankie de Jong, okay fine. Again, with the 4-2-3-1 system, we have Musiala on the left, Pedri as a central attacking midfielder, and then of course, because you're going to be letting go of Frankie, you're losing a CDM. You're not losing another central attacking midfielder, meaning that you're going to be looking at either Zubimendi or Kimmich to reinforce the double pivot position to be next to Xavi, and that is going to be costing around 50 million euros or 45 million euros, depending on who you do choose. Keep in mind that if you buy Musiala and if you also buy Zubimendi or Kimmich, let's just say Zubimendi, 50 million euros and 110 million euros for Musiala, that is 160 million euros. That is still less than what Barcelona spent in the summer of 2022. I have a lot of trouble believing that La Liga is going to be saying 2 years ago, yes, you could have spent 180 million euros, but in the summer of 2024, 2 years later, I can't see you spending more than that. That doesn't make any sense. How are you going to be spending less than what you did 2 years ago when Barcelona, all they have been doing with Joan Laporta is to get financially stronger? And so because in the end, a lot of the funds are going to be going to Musiala, we are not going to be able to really spend more money on other players. Maybe on free players, yes, and maybe low knees like Xavi Siemens, maybe other players out there in Europe. But because of that, we're going to have to really bring out Barcelona Athletic to reinforce other positions. And let me tell you, Barcelona Athletic look really good right now. So if we bring Musiala and other spots do need to be reinforced, I think that Hector Fort is going to be playing a huge role to reinforce the right back position and the left back position. Mikhail Faye is definitely going to be testing Araujo and Kubarsi, another player that Hansi Flick could count on. Margui can test Lewandowski and Vitor Roque. And most importantly, a player that nobody has been talking about, but I believe will be looked at so much, is Noah Darovic, who is a German central attacking midfielder, a player that will have something to say in the very near future and test players like Gundogan, Pedri, and Fermin Lopez. And that's again assuming that Pedri does have continuity. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.